Today's fund promises its investors good returns in the long run if you have the time and the money. The Birla Sun Life Mid Cap Fund was launched in October 2002 and has given its investors an annualized return of 26% since its launch. In the first 6 years of its life, the fund had a good run, ranking in 6th in its category. In the downturn of 2008, the fund manager fled to FMCG and healthcare and took refuge in debt and cash. In 2009, the fund delivered admirably with a return of 120%. But it slipped from its position in 2010 and has not recovered since then. It gave its investors 13% against 20% from the category average, and it remained unimpressive in 2011 as well. Let's bring in some numbers for you. If you invested 1,000 rupees in this fund when it launched, you would have 10,270 rupees today.
Thanks, Avan. Dhirendra, let's look at the Birla Sun Life Mid Cap Plan A. The long-term performance looks good. According to Value Research, 26% annualized returns since launch, and that's very impressive. But after 2009, that fund just hasn't managed to pull up its socks. It's fallen a lot more than its category average in the bad times. It hasn't been able to keep up in the good times. Tell us what an investor should focus on here. Should we focus on its lifetime performance or its lack of consistency?
First 5 years, it was a compelling fund, and it remained a very small fund. It was, very actively managed. It did well. 2008 happened, and that's the time when this fund actually started getting a lot of money as well through the lean times. And last 3 years, it has been a very disappointing performance relative to all other similar funds, the mid-cap funds. And mid-cap, fund universe is one where I don't see great commonality in the portfolios, and the bets not working out nicely. And I think also the size has something to do about it, because this fund has turned big, and for a mid-cap fund, all its performance was achieved when it was nearly a fourth of its size.
Right, this is interesting. When you brought up the fact that every mid-cap fund seems to have a different portfolio, and mid-cap funds normally also have erratic performances, tell us as investors how we grade these funds or how we judge them. Because you have talked about the fact that when we invest in mid-cap funds, we should check their performance on a regular basis. So at what point should we decide that, okay, this is when I should be pulling out my money before I lose a lot or lose more at this fund?
Look at relative performance, and a relative performance meaning, say, a Birla Sun Life Mid-Cap Fund relative to other funds in the mid-cap category. Don't compare it with Sensex and Nifty, because it's not comparable in the first place. So look at that. Look at the magnitude of fall and decline relative to other funds. Look at the category of average of the mid-cap and small-cap funds, mid and small-cap fund, which is freely available on my website, and that should be a useful pointer. Consistent underperformance for 4 quarters, I will lose patience with a mid-cap fund.
Alright, so this is important for those of us who invest in mid-cap funds. Remember, we pick these funds because they'll give us that added advantage when the market is doing well. So if a fund has underperformed, like Dhirendra said, for 4 consecutive quarters, compare it to its category average and to other mid-cap funds, if it's underperformed in that comparison for 4 consecutive quarters, then it's possibly time for you to lose your patience, because remember, when the mid-cap fund falls, it will fall much sharper than the other funds in your portfolio. Alright, Dhirendra, finally your rating on the Birla Sun Life Mid-Cap Fund. What's your final call?
I think it's a fairly average fund, and it has become average for past 3 years. I'll give it a 3-star.
3 stars there for the Birla Sun Life Mid-Cap Fund on Investors Guide. Remember, those details and those numbers that Dhirendra was recommending you look at are available on the Value Research website.